Good morning. Today I'm joined by Mayor Brandon Scott and his team, who he'll introduce, and the Police Commissioner, Michael Harrison, as well as the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention and the Maryland Criminal Intelligence Network, as we announce the indictment of 33 individuals for their participation in a criminal organization operating primarily in the south, southwestern, and western area of Baltimore City, including the Shipley Hill, Booth Boyd, and Fayette Street neighborhoods. We're here in the community directly affected by the violence of this criminal organization to make today's announcement. I want to be clear to those living here, working here, and using community resources like the outreach center that we're in this morning, that we are committed to ensuring that Baltimore is a safe place for all, and that we are committed to taking charge of our neighborhoods. The individuals indicted are charged with participation in a criminal investigation, conspiracy to distribute controlled dangerous substances, and firearm-related offenses. 3 of the individuals charged in this indictment are charged with attempted first-degree murder, and 1 individual is charged with human trafficking. They range in ages from 21 to 54 and are residents of Baltimore City and Baltimore County. I want to make clear that the criminal indictment is merely an allegation of wrongdoing, and these individuals are presumed innocent unless and until the state proves beyond a reasonable doubt their guilt. This investigation, which was led by the Baltimore Police Department's Group Violence Unit with assistance from the Attorney General's Organized Crime Unit, revealed that as early as November 2021, the criminal organization used drug sales, firearms, violence, the threat of violence in an effort to control and dominate an area and profit. The organization was comprised of a complex hierarchy of suppliers, managers, street lieutenants, and low-level street dealers, amongst others, and engaged in the daily distribution of illegal drugs, mainly heroin, fentanyl, and cocaine. In fact, we're standing 1 block away from the Calverton Road drug shop. This 16-month investigation began because of a measurable increase in violence in the area controlled by this organization, and relied on a number of investigative techniques, including undercover detective buys, video surveillance, and wiretaps. The criminal organization engaged in reckless violence, including the following incidents that are charged in this indictment. On May 7th, 2022, video surveillance captured 2 members of the organization, James Brunson and Ernest Hudson, committing an attempted murder near the intersection in the organization's territory of West Baltimore and North Bentaloo streets. On December 19th, 2022, Keith Miller, a high-ranking member of the organization, was also captured on video surveillance as he shot at and attempted to murder another member near South Calverton Road and Frederick Avenue. Fortunately, in neither of these incidents was anyone injured. Throughout this investigation, detectives recovered 9 firearms and 1 rifle, large quantities of fentanyl and cocaine, and approximately $30,000 in U.S. currency. It's been very clear that one of my priorities as Attorney General is to disrupt and diminish organized and violent crime. And that's why this year I'm working with the General Assembly and the Governor to expand the capacity of our organized crime unit. Today's announcement is the 2nd of many more announcements of takedowns to come. The work doesn't stop. My attorneys will prepare this case for trial while also continuing our work with the Baltimore Police Department on other matters. Mayor Scott and I had a great meeting last week about continuing this effort to combat violent crime and dismantle dangerous gangs. We've been able to charge cases like these because of the strong partnerships we've built and cultivated. Violent crime will only be reduced if we collaborate and put all our resources together. We're doing this successfully in Baltimore City with the help of our state's attorney, Ivan Bates, and we'll continue to do so in Baltimore City. But we also intend to replicate what we've done here and what we're doing here in other parts of our state that are experiencing similar problems. I want to thank Criminal Division Chief Katie Dorian, Assistant Attorneys General Shannon Price and Crystal Sanders, and the members of the Baltimore Police Department's Group Violence Unit who worked around the clock on this investigation, sacrificing time with their families to help dismantle this violent organization. Also, we appreciate the support of all of our law enforcement partners, both federal and local, as well as the state's attorney for Baltimore City, Ivan Bates. And with that, let me bring to the podium our mayor, Mayor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to West Baltimore. Mr. Attorney General, thank you for your partnership, and thank you for returning to West Baltimore 2 weeks in a row. We can come anytime. We love to have you here. Similar to the Attorney General, I want to start off by thanking him and his incredible team, our state's attorney in Baltimore City and his incredible team, Ivan Bates, the women and men of the Baltimore Police Department, and specifically the members of the GVU for the work that they do each and every day to implement and as a part of our strategy, along with our partners at MONSE around the group violence reduction strategy. This collaborative effort is something that should not be looked down upon in any way, because this collaborative effort allowed us to bring this group to justice. We know, and I've said it time and time again, that our group violence reduction strategy is a central component to Baltimore's comprehensive violence prevention plan. That is a viable solution and has been since its inception. I'm going to say this again. Don't let this be you. We are implementing the group violence reduction strategy in the way that it should be. We want you to change your life. We want you to stay alive. We don't want you to go to jail. But if you choose to do this, that's what's going to happen to you. As I stated before, we are going to work in every way to make sure that law enforcement action is the last possible action. We don't want to do this. We don't want to resort to this. But if you refuse to take that assistance, if you refuse to change your life, if you want to continue to bring guns and weapons and harm to people on the streets of Baltimore for whatever reason, this will be where you end up. There is no room, and I repeat, no room for those who want to continue to perpetuate violence in our communities. In the western and southwestern districts where the group violence reduction strategy has been implemented, we have and continue to see noteworthy progress. As you all know, last year, as we piloted here in West Baltimore, we saw a 34% reduction in homicides and non-fatal shootings in the Western District. We are continuing to see that happen, as right now we have a 40% reduction in non-fatal shootings and homicides in the Western District and a 20% reduction in the Southwestern District. We also know that homicides and non-fatal shootings in Baltimore City are down plus 20% overall. As you can see from the numbers, and you can see in the work that happens throughout our GVRS neighborhoods, this strategy works, and it works for a reason, because it requires and relies on a deep level of coordination amongst all stakeholders, BPD, MONSE, the AG, the SAO, all of our state and other partners, to make sure that we are working with the most important partner, the community, to ensure that no stone is left unturned when we are fighting to protect our city and communities from the disease known as gun violence. I want to again thank all of our partners for their deep work in, not just here, but across Baltimore, and specifically in part of our group violence reduction strategy. And I would like to say once again that this is going to continue to be the way that we're going to focus. We are going to offer folks every opportunity, but we are not, and I repeat, we are not going to stand by and let you bring weapons, use them on our communities, on our women, on our children, on our grandparents. Do not let this be you. Take heed and take those resources. If not, you will feel the full weight of law enforcement. And with that, I'll bring up Commissioner Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning to all of you, and thank you for joining us today. Today, I am joined by a number of people, Operations Deputy Commissioner Rich Worley, Chief of Detectives Colonel Monique Brown, and Deputy Chief of Detectives Lieutenant Colonel Callahan, who are in the audience. And with me at the podium are members of our Group Violence Unit who were directly involved in this investigation. Sergeant Brandon Avery, Detectives Robert Arena, Vladimir Verdes, and Western District Action Team Sergeant Tristan Ferguson. As heard and stated, in November 2021, the Baltimore Police Department's Group Violence Reduction Unit detectives and our district action teams of the Southwest District began an investigation into this drug organization, along with several collaborative efforts of other law enforcement partners who undertook this investigation into the criminal enterprise. So I'll like to speak especially to thank the men and women of the Baltimore Police Department and the representatives who are here with me today for their dedication in this intense investigation, for their ongoing work in making our city safer. We could not have successfully completed this months-long investigation and operation without the coordination of everybody you see here and some who are not here, our federal partners, including the FBI, the DEA, the ATF, the U.S. Marshal Service, the U.S. Marshals Task Force, our state and local enforcement partners, including the Maryland State Police, our state's attorney's office, the Baltimore County Police Department, and other surrounding jurisdictions. Last but certainly not least, our partners at the Attorney General's office, including Criminal Section Chief Katie Dorian and Assistant Attorneys General Shannon Price and Crystal Sander. This joint effort resulted in what you heard, 33 individuals indicted. 18 of those have already been arrested. 10 remain in custody today. 14 members remain at large, and we need the help of our community to apprehend these individuals. Of the 33 members indicted, 12 are repeat violent offenders. 30 of them have previous arrest records to include drug distribution, armed robbery, handgun violations, carjackings, human trafficking, and attempted murder. 2 of these members have been arrested more than 30 times. These arrests represent the latest in our series of operations and illustrates our commitment and promise to disrupting open-air drug markets in our city. As our city and state continues to grapple with overdose deaths and drug addiction, we must dismantle these organizations that destroy our neighborhoods through drug distribution. Additionally, this takedown represents our progress with the Mayor's Group Violence Reduction Strategy. Following the successful pilot period in the Western District, which you heard the Mayor say we saw a 34% reduction in gun violence, we recently expanded the GVRS strategy into the Southwest District, with the Central District soon to follow. It is a true statement and true testament to the hard work, efforts, and intentional collaboration of all who were part of the pilot program that we are now able to take what we have learned from the Western and apply it to other parts of the city. And together, we are working aggressively to reduce crime in our city, to remove those who wish to do harm through drug trafficking and gun violence. It is vitally important that we continue to invest in prevention, intervention, rehabilitation, and reentry in order to keep those at highest risk safe and alive. As we have all repeated on many occasions, the GVRS strategy is intended to reach those who most want to be a part of the solution. Accepting our help is not a requirement, but stopping the violence is. And that is what we're here to show you today. So I thank the entire team and anticipate many more successful collaborations that lead to reducing the number of homicides and non-fatal shootings across Baltimore. I'll again reiterate that 14 members remain at large, many of whom are aware that they have open warrants. So we're asking them to turn themselves in right away. Or if anyone has any information on the whereabouts of these suspects, they can call Metro Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. Thank you, and at this time I'll turn it over back to our Attorney General.
We will open up for any questions. We'll open up for any questions. We will take 2 per outlet. Start with Justin.
Just to clarify, these individuals are working in concert, or they're 30 individuals who are doing criminal activity in this area?
Excuse me, they were working in concert. They were working as a group. Although there were individuals who were committing individual violations, they were working to support the success of the group, which qualifies them for a GVRS investigation.
Jeff.
Mr. Question, the NFL game was taken down.
170.
Just one additional point to Justin's question. So while these indictments are being announced to you all today and this investigation started before the official launch of GVRS in the Western District at the top of the year last year, this is investigatory work that was happening with the unit that would become the GVU, in addition to our partners at the Attorney General's office and other partners that were mentioned here.
And just a follow-up on that. So were these 33 individuals, we talk about people being offered services, you know, we don't want to do this. Were all 33 of them, or how many of them were engaged in that process and chose not to take it up?
Thank you for the question. So just as a reminder around how the strategy works, if there's an active investigation associated with an individual, deconfliction is happening in the room with the partners every single week to make sure that we aren't being disingenuous in offering folks services only for them to be arrested days or months later. There have been a few instances where folks weren't under active investigation, not specific to this indictment, in which we were able to determine that there were some criminal activities that were going on after an offer of service, where an arrest was effectuated. At the end of the day, when these folks are brought to justice, when the prosecutorial process plays out, when these folks deal with the consequences associated with their actions, services will be available to them as a part of their rehabilitative package.
So this is not an example of people who chose not to take the services. This is being held out as an example of, for those who are engaged in that process, don't end up this way?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what I was looking at was, the NFL game was taken down. We did something like this with that, I think in late 2020. Now we've had this group taken down. But in the big picture, are there any street corners in that same zone where drugs aren't available today, or are there big fish that we're trying to still get to above these groups? Because it seems like there's always a vacuum where people come in and fill the void. I'm just wondering how that works.
Well, there's always follow-up, and we are always looking to disrupt and dismantle these drug trafficking organizations, these violent organizations, and individuals who are committing violence, even if they're doing it alone. We are always working to do that, and one investigation may lead us to other people who we don't yet have, or things we don't yet know. And so there's always more investigation. Just because we did this takedown doesn't mean that this is over. This could very well lead to more indictments and or more action, or that it may lead to the next investigation.
Do others come in and take that territory, so to speak? I mean, is that typical? Well,
our goal and our wish and our hard work is to not let that happen, to make sure, but I'll let the director come in, but the goal is to never let that happen.
I would offer that one of the new things as a part of Mayor Scott's administration to ensure that we don't have power vacuums that get created and then we have a territorial war is what we've spoken about in the past around the coordinated neighborhood stabilization responses. Those happen in cases where takedowns occur in coordination with the Baltimore Police Department and with other city and state agencies to ensure that we are enveloping an area for 45 contiguous days to make sure that we are paying attention to the signs of a potential territory takeover.
Alexa.
12 repeat offenders, 30 previous arrests. Are these arrests recent, and why does this keep happening?
Well, the arrests stretch back for long periods of time. All 30 arrests aren't recent. They date back months and years. The point is that there are people who are being arrested multiple times, people being arrested many times, and justice is not either being served or their cases are not coming to fruition with them either being prosecuted and or convicted, and there are many reasons for that because there are multiple areas of the criminal justice system that all have to be aligned to make sure that that happens. But those arrests go back for a long time. The point of us saying that is that we are catching people who have been arrested many times. They may not have been prosecuted and or convicted, but we caught them this time. And it is through this effort that we now have them. Now the goal is to make sure that those who get arrested, that they see the consequences for their actions.
Leah,
yeah, I was just wondering, you mentioned these defendants were not offered services but will be later. So I was just wondering, like, how do you choose who is offered services, like, in lieu of arrest and who isn't?
thank you for that question. Folks may recall that on a weekly basis, the partners that are standing behind me, in addition to our federal partners, meet to discuss active group activities, to have conversations about who should be offered a full suite of opportunity versus who should get a law enforcement only engagement, right? And so law enforcement engagement looks like law enforcement partners only engaging with these members to tell them that the violence must stop. It does not include an offer of services. In cases where an active investigation isn't going on or folks have passed what we call deconfliction, we are using our service partners, our community moral voice, and our law enforcement partners to do a coordinated offer of support. With regard to offering services, Leah, after or during rehabilitation, while incarcerated or serving out your sentence in some other sort of way, the police commissioner and I talk about this all the time. Our work can't just be about enforcement. It also has to be about prevention, rehabilitation, intervention, and that's a key component of this strategy as well.
So I have another last question. How aggressively is the city going after these 14 individuals, and that's almost half? How do you plan to get them off the street?
So that has been and continues to be a coordinated effort with all of our law enforcement partners. Our Warrant Apprehension Task Force, the U.S. Marshals Task Force, and all of our local and state agencies going out trying to locate where these individuals are through executing search and arrest warrants. Some of them have not been able to be located, and that's why we're asking the community now, if you know of any of these individuals, their whereabouts, please let us know. You can do it anonymously by calling Crime Stoppers at 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. As you have heard us say in almost every press conference, we need the community's help in solving these cases. Well, we need the community's help in locating these individuals.